the 2015 election will be the last federal election using first past the post.
Dear family, friends, and loved ones, we have gathered here today to mourn the passing of our beloved Electoral Reform. The Electoral Reform came to a tragic and unexpected end 1 year ago today. The Electoral Reform was killed by a broken promise. And Mother Democracy mourns the loss of her child, Electoral Reform. In life, as in death, Electoral Reform stood for fixing our voting system. With the current system right now, our governments are elected with less than 40% of the vote, but have 100% of the power. Is this right? With the current system, politicians don't work together. Is this right? With the current system, values are not represented. Is this right? And Electoral Reform was our beacon of hope to fix this broken system. Yes, in the life of Electoral Reform, we had the promise of a better level of governance. In the life of Electoral Reform, we had the promise of cooperation between political parties. In the life of Electoral Reform, we had the promise of gender and racial equality in our government. In the life of Electoral Reform, we had the promise of environmental justice. And in the life of Electoral Reform, we had the promise of a democracy that works for everyone. But it is not to be. Despite Prime Minister Trudeau promising dozens of times that he would fix our voting system, and despite our MP, Matt DeCourcy, calling this promise a pillar of our platform, they broke their promise and they killed Electoral Reform. And so we are here today to mourn what could have been. We are here today to mourn the loss of economic equality. We are here today to mourn the loss of full representation for all. We are here today to mourn the last of an era of unfair elections. And we are here today to mourn the death of Electoral Reform.
He's alive! He's alive!
I was just having a little snooze. Electoral reform is on the minds of many Canadians. Yes! British Columbia is having a referendum on electoral reform.
Yes!
PEI is having a referendum on electoral reform.
Yes!
Electoral reform will bring a voice to all Canadians.
Yes!
Electoral reform will make every vote count.
Yes!
Electoral reform will make our political system work for everyone.
Yes!
Now, let's go down to Matt DeCourcy's office and demand better.
Yes!
You can't stop us on the road to freedom. There are many Canadians who are concerned about electoral reform, as Matt DeCourcy well knows. And we're here today to read this proclamation. Today, a date that will go down in infamy for Justin Trudeau's broken promise. We, the people, hereby proclaim on behalf of Canadians who were tired of casting an ineffective vote, tired of strategic voting, and looking forward to better representation and the better government and more cooperative politics that proportional representation would bring. Yes. Yes. deeply disappointed or betrayed by your government's broken promise, we proclaim that electoral reform has been resurrected and is alive. And we who support electoral reform have not given up. We will leave a copy of this proclamation for Matt.
Matt who?